Now that you understand how to operate your AT Pro International metal detector and how various targets can sound, it's time to put the operational knowledge to use. For best detection results, keep your search coil at a constant height and parallel to the ground at all times. Walk slowly as you scan your search coil in a straight line from side to side at a speed of about 3 to 5 feet per second. Overlap each sweep by about half of the search coil's width to avoid missing any targets. In order to achieve the deepest depth of detection, avoid lifting the search coil at the end of your swing.
Pinpointing is very simple with the AT Pro International. To demonstrate, we'll go through a couple of different scenarios, and what I'll do, I'll take a silver Spanish coin here and I'll bury it in the ground and I'll mark it with this colored chip just so that it's easy to tell exactly where our target is, and then we'll go back over it and do these demonstrations so you can clearly understand how to pinpoint with the coil on this AT Pro International. Okay, so what I'm going to do is dig a hole here, and I'm going to take my Spanish coin, put it down in the dirt, 3 or 4 inches there, bury it back up, and then for demonstration purposes, I'm going to take that colored chip and put it right there on top. Kind of X marks the spot. That's where we know our target is. That'll make it easier to see as we do the demonstrations on where the pinpointing is actually happening with this coil. The standard method for pinpointing involves using the pinpoint push button. And what you do is find a target, then where you think it is, step to the side of it with your search coil before hitting the button. That way you don't accidentally tune out the target. So push the button and come back over your target, listening for the strongest response and looking for the strongest response on the LCD. Where you have the strongest meter and the strongest audio, now simply push forward and back to double check it, almost in an X marks the spot fashion. Where you've got the strongest audio and the strongest meter response, you should be centered right over your target. In this case, we're centered right above our chip that we placed down, which is right above the target that's buried in the ground. Another variation on pinpointing involves pinpointing off the tip or the tail of this double D search coil. Its hottest point is right down the center line, so by using the same method, pinpoint your target, get your strongest response, and simply push the coil straight forward until you hear the audio dive off, until you see the meter dive off, and at that point, the target should be right off the tail of the coil in the center. You can do the same process by coming in and pinpointing your target, getting the strongest response, holding down that pinpoint button this whole time, and then pull the coil towards you until the meter and the audio dive off. And in this case, the target should be right off the front end of the coil. And then still another method, some people like to go without using the pinpoint button at all, and they use a wiggle method, or some people call the DD wiggle, and that is finding a target and without using the button for pinpoint, simply begin wiggling the coil off to the side of where you think the target is, moving it slowly toward the target's location until you get an extremely repeatable sound like that. Move it forward and back just a little bit to double check it. And where you've got the strongest repeating signal, you should be right over the center of your target. I like to take that a step further and not only use the wiggle technique on the coil, but also push or pull the coil to pinpoint off the tip of the tail. I'll show you that one final step there too. Wiggle the coil, lock in on where you think the target's location is, and then I simply pull it toward me to pinpoint right off the tip. Right now I know that it's centered on the coil and just off the front tip of it. Practice any and all of these pinpointing techniques in your test plot. Find the one that works best for you and get comfortable with it, because you'll dig smaller recovery holes, you'll spend less time chasing after your targets, and you'll spend more time looking for treasure. And always remember to fill in the holes that you dig.
The AT Pro can be submerged in water to a maximum depth of 10 feet or 3 meters. Use of the detector below these depths can cause leaks and void the manufacturer's warranty. The AT Pro can be used for searching in and along both saltwater beaches and freshwater streams, lakes, or swimming holes. Saltwater environments are challenging for continuous wave detectors, so proper ground balance is required for stable operation. Ground balance the AT Pro as your environment changes, such as moving from a dry sand beach onto an area where the sand is heavily saturated by salt water. Salt water is conductive and produces signals similar to foil. First, ground balance the detector to the area that will be hunted. Saltwater beaches typically ground balance between 0 and 20. If necessary, reduce the sensitivity until the signals become stable. Swing the search coil flat and at a constant height. The detector will be less stable in shallow, breaking surf where the search coil is in and out of the salt water. In this area, the environment is constantly changing, making it difficult for the detector to stabilize. If necessary to improve stability, you can negatively bias the ground balance by several points. Simply press and release the ground balance button and use the minus notch disc push button to manually reduce the ground balance setting. Introduce only as much negative bias as is needed to achieve stable operation. If necessary, notch out the first pixel under foil. It is important to note that by notching out this pixel, detection of some small jewelry items will be reduced. The headphones included with the AT Pro are standard land search headphones. They can be used for searching along waterways and for wading. If you're going to completely submerge the headset, there are optional headphones available from Garrett, which are completely waterproof. The AT Pro's LCD gives a continual indication of the remaining battery life. This battery level indicator displays 4 illuminated bars when the detector is operating with fresh or fully charged batteries. The AT Pro will remain fully functional until the batteries need to be replaced. When the battery level indicator is down to 1 bar, it's time to replace the batteries or recharge them. Nickel metal hydride rechargeable AA size batteries can be used, or regular AA size alkaline batteries. Expect 20 to 40 hours of operation depending upon the type of batteries used and their quality. Access and replace the batteries by rotating the battery cover housing 1/4 turn counterclockwise. Pull and remove the cap to slide the battery holder out. Remove batteries when the AT Pro will be stored for longer than 30 days. The AT Pro is a rugged machine, designed for outdoor use in all environments. However, as with all electronic equipment, there are some simple ways to care for the detector to maintain its high performance. Avoid extreme temperatures as much as possible, such as storing the detector in an automobile trunk during the summer or outdoors in sub-freezing weather. Keep the detector clean. Wipe the control housing with a damp cloth when necessary. Disassemble the stem and wipe it and the search coil clean with a damp cloth. Replace the protective cover on the connector when not using the headphones. Your Garrett AT Pro represents the highest quality in metal detector manufacturing. Protect it and complement it with quality accessories from Garrett, like these. Protect your new search coil with a coil cover to lengthen its lifespan. There's also a full array of accessory search coils available for the AT Pro, including a smaller 5x8 inch DD coil, 2 different size concentric search coils, and even a 4.5 inch Super Sniper coil for tiny targets and for getting into tight areas. Garrett's Ram Publishing Company offers a number of books designed to help you find more treasure. You can find these books and others at your local Garrett dealer's shop, or visit Garrett.com for more information. The Garrett ProPointer pinpointing detector is an essential tool to speed your target recovery time. The ProPointer's audible and vibrating alarms increase in intensity as the pinpointer moves closer to the target. Garrett also offers an assortment of recovery and digging tools for the different types of environments from which you will retrieve treasure targets. Study your country's antiquity laws concerning metal detecting before you use your metal detector. A sincere request that Charles Garrett makes of every user of one of his detectors is that every place searched be left in better condition than it was found. When hunting, it's good to remember that any metal detector may discover underground power lines, explosives, or other items which, when struck, could cause personal injury. Always use reasonable caution in digging toward any target, particularly in areas where you are uncertain of underground conditions. Hard work, patience, and research are 3 keys to success with a metal detector. Another key is how well you understand your own machine. To truly understand your new AT Pro, spend at least 10 hours searching in the zero discrimination mode. Dig and study all of your targets during your learning phase. Begin hunting in the standard mode to practice your techniques. Switch to the Pro mode after you become more experienced. Do not expect to achieve the greatest accuracy and success until you've used the AT Pro for at least 100 hours. This instructional video gives you a real head start on learning to use the AT Pro International properly. Watch it several times. Meanwhile, study your owner's manual, and you will begin to develop hunting techniques of your own. Your success will increase as you begin to master your AT Pro International. It's up to you. Happy hunting!